Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to talk about what if everyone suddenly lost the ability to speak. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that you are unable to speak. You try to communicate with your family and friends, but all your attempts go in vain. You soon realize that you are not the only one facing this issue. Everyone around you has lost the ability to speak. How would the world look like if everyone suddenly lost the ability to speak? In this video, we will explore this scenario and try to imagine the possible consequences. The most obvious consequence of this scenario is that communication would break down completely. People would not be able to communicate with each other, which would lead to chaos and confusion. People would not be able to express their emotions and feelings through speech. This would lead to frustration and anger, as people would not be able to convey their thoughts and emotions to others. Education would be severely impacted, as teachers would not be able to teach and students would not be able to learn effectively. It would be challenging to understand complex subjects without verbal communication. Healthcare professionals would face significant challenges in treating patients. Patients would not be able to explain their symptoms, and doctors would not be able to prescribe treatment effectively. The tourism industry would be affected, as people would not be able to communicate with each other effectively in foreign countries. The travel industry would suffer as a result. Business transactions would become challenging, as people would not be able to communicate effectively in meetings and negotiations. Governments would find it difficult to govern their citizens, as they would not be able to communicate with them effectively. Political campaigns would become challenging, and speeches would be impossible. The arts, such as theater, music, and movies, would be significantly impacted, as these forms of expression rely heavily on verbal communication. Increased reliance on technology. People would rely more heavily on technology, such as text messaging and social media, to communicate with each other. Opportunity for a new form of communication. The loss of verbal communication would lead to the development of new forms of communication, such as sign language and non-verbal communication. Here are some potential advantages and disadvantages of everyone suddenly losing the ability to speak. Advantages: increased emphasis on non-verbal communication. With spoken language gone, people would rely more heavily on body language, facial expressions, and gestures to communicate. This could lead to a deeper understanding of others and more effective communication in certain situations. More emphasis on writing and other forms of expression. With spoken language no longer an option, people would likely turn to other forms of expression like writing, art, or music to communicate their thoughts and feelings. Greater focus on listening. Without the ability to speak, people would be forced to listen more intently to others in order to understand them. This could lead to improved communication skills and deeper relationships. Increased emphasis on technology. People may turn to technology, such as text messaging or video calls, to communicate in the absence of spoken language. Greater sense of unity. Without language barriers, people from different cultures and backgrounds could communicate more easily and develop deeper connections. Reduced conflict. With the inability to argue or insult others through spoken language, there may be a decrease in verbal conflict and aggression. More peaceful environments. The lack of spoken language may lead to quieter and more peaceful environments, with less noise pollution and distractions. More creativity. With traditional forms of communication gone, people may be forced to think outside the box and come up with new and innovative ways to express themselves. Increased empathy. Without spoken language, people may be more likely to focus on the emotions and feelings of others, leading to increased empathy and compassion. New social norms. In the absence of spoken language, new social norms and conventions may emerge around nonverbal communication and other forms of expression. Disadvantages: difficulty in emergency situations. Without the ability to call for help or explain an emergency situation, it may be more difficult to get the help needed. Isolation. With spoken language gone, people may feel isolated and disconnected from others. Difficulty in education. Learning and teaching may become more challenging without spoken language as a tool for communication. Limitations in job opportunities. Certain professions, such as those that require strong communication skills, may be more difficult to pursue without the ability to speak. Loss of cultural diversity. Language is often tied to culture, and the loss of spoken language could lead to a loss of cultural diversity and identity. Difficulty in personal relationships. The inability to communicate verbally could create barriers in personal relationships and make it more difficult to express emotions or work through conflicts. Misunderstandings. Without spoken language, misunderstandings could occur more easily, leading to confusion or conflict. Limitations in social activities. Certain social activities, such as going out to eat or attending events, may be more difficult to enjoy without the ability to speak. Potential for frustration and anger. The inability to communicate effectively could lead to frustration and anger, particularly in high-stress situations. Limitations in travel and exploration. Without the ability to ask for directions or communicate with locals in other countries, travel and exploration could become more difficult and limited. These are all speculative and hypothetical, but they may provide some insight into the potential advantages and disadvantages of such a scenario. The sudden loss of the ability to speak would have far-reaching consequences on all aspects of society. Communication breakdown. Impact on education and healthcare, and difficulty in business and government would only be the tip of the iceberg. However, it is also important to note that such a scenario would lead to the development of new forms of communication, which may ultimately benefit humanity. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content.